All right, what's up, guys? Let's see. All right. You know what we do have. Funny enough, what we do have coming up is the Georgia Tech game is coming up in 28 minutes. So definitely can watch that. That will be a good one. What's up, Coog? What's up, dude? Canes, what's up, man? You guys are my dedicated crew. Always getting in here. All right, we're gonna look at. Let's go to D1 baseball. I mean, it's like it seems like this website is just really not. I don't know. It's like it seems like it's just got issues. Like it's loading slower. I sent you an interview today with Freddie G. Very good interview. Yeah, I watched it. I watched it, Canes. I saw it. Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is, like, I've known Freddie Gonzalez for decades, right? Like, I mean, he's been kind of connected to my dad for like 30 years. Not I mean, like you just know what I mean. Like he seemed to have been like they've known each other and kind of been involved with the same teams for a long time. What's up, Cardboard? Now let me turn the music down a little bit here. Let's see. Is he with anybody this year? Like he was involved with the Marlins when my dad was with the Marlins. Let's see. Yeah, so like when my dad was the assistant GM of the Marlins when they were the franchise, the expansion team, and he Freddie Gonzalez was one of the first coaches that they hired. And then obviously, like he was the manager of the Marlins, he became the manager of the Atlanta Braves after Bobby Cox retired, and he was one of the assistant coaches for Atlanta. So like him and my dad, a really good relationship. He's in D3 volunteering. He said it's his first time 40 years he's not at spring training. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like same thing with my dad, right? It's like it's actually even longer. Like my dad was, let's say the late 70s was when my dad started playing pro ball, and he was done after the 2019 season. So basically almost 78 40 years. I mean 40 years for my dad as well. I think the analytics bros don't want guys with experience. Some like again, like there are definitely some that don't. And I think that's a massive loss of some value that they're losing out on. Deaver, what's up, man? How you doing? Local media publisher wrote a piece on our team. Super pumped and proud of how far we've come in just a few months since tryouts. That's awesome, Cardboard. You guys are doing a heck of a job, man. Canes. He also talked about Jackson Holiday getting called up to the majors and how the front office is the one that pushed it. Yeah, I saw that part, and it's interesting. Again, like Jackson Holiday, He's an interesting case study, right? Because he really did perform very well as a high school. I mean, similar to like not quite. I mean, kind of similar to Mike Trout in a lot of ways, where he just very advanced hitter, and obviously his dad, he's got that bloodlines of a dad who was a very good hitter in the major leagues. Um, I like the interview because it was by David Sampson, who was another executive in front offices like your dad. So it was two people in the know having a public talk, the same way your dad and Freddie G can have a public talk, and it would be the same way. Exactly. Um, and Jackson Holiday, it's very rare for you guys remember. I mean, Mike Trout, when he came up, his rookie year, really, I mean, he still had rookie status the next year, but he came up for part of the year when he made his debut, and he struggled. He did not do well. So I think Jackson Holiday is going to be fine. But again, it's very rare for a guy to come up at like 20 years old or 19 years old and have a lot of success, even if they're very talented, because it's just such a massive. Again, a high school player they've never played like high school baseball. You want to win, right? But you're not worried about keeping your job up there as a high school player. In the big leagues, it's the highest level must-win baseball around, and you're worried about, man, if I don't perform, I'm going to get sent down. So it's very rare that there's a 19/20-year-old kind of high school kid that is going to just come up right away and flourish. Well, now, like, and the thing is, like, and I think Mike Trout's even said it, like that first taste of the big leagues, like it was good for him to go up there and struggle because he realized, what he was doing wrong and everything. And the same is true of, I think is going to be true of Jackson Holiday, right? And Freddie said that in the interview. He's like, I think we rushed him. We didn't, and I think his reasoning was like we didn't like necessarily need him up there, right? You don't want to rush a guy. If it's one thing, like like Jason Hayward, for example, with my dad, like this is what I would say is a lot of these GMs. What you see now is they have a really good young prospect, like remember Chris Bryant and the Cubs, like waiting. A little, just the amount of time to where he doesn't turn into a Super 2 player. And my dad with Jason Hayward, who was the number one prospect in baseball, is like, and again, this is just how different Major League Baseball is run now. My dad could care less about Super 2. He's like, if I don't win games and like make the playoffs, I'm fired. I'm out of a job. So I can't wait like a month to promote Jason Hayward when without the whole Super 2 argument, he's the best player to put in right field. Like that's the guy we need in right field. And so he's going to start opening day, because if I don't have him up there for a month and we lose, let's say 3 games because of it, and then at the end of the year, we don't make the playoffs by a game and a half or a game, that's on me. And now what you see is like, we're just going to hold the prospect back. And again, like I'll give you guys just an inside kind of look from a GM's perspective. My dad always said, like, now all these GMs are getting 5-year deals, massive, like really long-term deals. And they're basically told you can rebuild. And my dad's kind of words were, anybody could do that. Literally anybody can like have no pressure to win as a GM. No, so since you don't have to win, you're not going to try to win. You're going to rebuild. You're going to trade away, get prospects, and you're going to draft really high because your team's not going to be good. He's like, anybody with any kind of baseball knowledge could do that. He's like, when I was given the GM job, it was like you got 1 year and then you got to win. So it's just like baseball is just totally different now, right? These GMs get, they get a long-term deal when they get hired, and a lot of them are hired and basically said, especially the analytics guys, like guys like Dave Dombrowski, like they don't even want to rebuild. They're like, I can turn this team around in a year. Like, look what Dave Dombrowski's done in Philadelphia. Look what he did in Boston. He turned the Detroit Tigers, when he was a GM there, he was, turned them into one of the best teams in the American League every year. And then what he did in Florida, I mean, he's just a winner everywhere he goes. And again, like I've told you guys, is like the analytics groups kind of look, people in general, they kind of look at a guy like Dave Dombrowski like he's some Neanderthal who's like they can't figure they can't like he's just like stumbling into winning, even though he's done it for 40 years. So it's just like there's a lot of disrespect in the game today for people that are like kind of more old school. And it's just funny because you have like a GM like Dave Dombrowski, like the Red Sox just fired him after they win the World Series. That there's no other GM that you will ever see that wins a World Series and then the next year the team's not performing like it was expected to perform, right? Beginning of the season, you're like, oh, this team's gonna be really good. And then he gets fired. Um, and it's just insane. You know, it's just insane that that's kind of how the game's going. Canes, I love Jason Hayward. I remember meeting him at the light as a kid when his brother was on our team. Very nice person. Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot his brother played at Miami. Um, yeah, dude. I mean, to be honest, the sad thing about Jason Hayward's career, and this just goes to show you, like, you know, inside info. He went and hit with a guy in the Atlanta area who was, you know, basically changed his entire swing, and it totally screwed him up. I mean, for years, he just went from like light tower power, unbelievable bat speed to like if you threw him a pitch inside, he could not hit it. He was just going to jammed every time, right? The only way he could hit a ball is if you threw it in the outside corner. And again, he just went to somebody who totally screwed up his swing. And when he was kind of talked to about it, he didn't see it. He didn't think that was the case. But it's like, man, the results on the field are, you know, you should see the results on the field and be like, yeah, my swing's not working. So that's the sad thing about Jason Hayward, because again, remember if you look at Jason Hayward's rookie year, I mean, he was nasty, right? He was nasty. Like, just for example, like his rookie year was 2010, so my senior year of high school, and my freshman fall at Georgia Tech. He hit 277, 393 on base, 456 slugging, so 850 OPS as a rookie, 29 doubles, 5 triples, 18 home runs, 91 walks to 128 strikeouts. Like that, like, dude, that for a rookie. And again, this was before, like, this is what a lot of you guys don't know this as well, but this was before like the major leagues juiced the balls. This is before the major leagues juiced all the balls. So like back then, 18 home runs, like that was, you were like, oh, this guy's going to be good. And then he just he fell off after that. Like, you know, next couple of years, he had, you know, 2012, he had a really good year. But his on base, you know, he drove the ball better, but his on base was down, and then he just like fell off. Why do players feel the need to change if the only thing he has is a weakness to the inside? Why not just live with it and continue on the path you're on? Well, the problem is he didn't used to have a weakness to the inside. And if you watch Jason Hayward's career, like, because he knew when he made those like swing changes, he basically he had to scoot so far off the plate to hit the inside pitch. It just put him in a really tough it put him in a really tough like situation hitting wise. And you know, again, for a guy who was 6'5", 245 pounds, like just a massive human being, you know, he's in some of those years he's slugging in the 300s. Like, it doesn't make sense, you know, and that's totally from a swing issue. But it's crazy. Like, if you look, and this is the thing, like with WAR, you look at it and you're like, okay, his WAR for his career, like he had a pretty good career based on his WAR, but what you don't understand is you look at it and you're like, he could have been so much better. Could have been so much better. And he's just never really regained what he was in the minor leagues after that. Let me see if I can look up what he did in the minor leagues. I can't read it. The font's so small. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, in the minor leagues, he's basically uh, a 317 hitter, 503 slug, 392 on base. That's his minor league. That's his minor league career. Made it to the big leagues at 20, right? So he was a superstar. He made it to the big leagues at 20. You know, I mean, he made it to the big leagues. He was drafted at 17, so he was young for a high school senior, and he was what everyone thought would be a superstar, number one overall prospect in the game. And then Freddie Freeman was like very highly touted as well behind him. But I'll never forget my dad just going like, I don't know why he went to this hitting guy, and kind of like didn't want to hear it that he was, he was kind of, he had lost his swing a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of it. But it tells you how good he was because he still had some like decent years, even with like the swing having very obvious holes. All right, we got like 12. Let me see. I believe Georgia Tech plays in like 10 minutes. 2 p.m. Yeah, 2 p.m. It's freezing down here, up here in Atlanta, guys. It's freezing. I know some of you guys are like up north, and you don't want to hear it. But it was 18 degrees this morning, and it's almost March. Like that, like it's always cold in February, but it's typically like in the 30s or 40s, which for us is cold. It was 18 degrees this morning. Well, high school team's got a game today, and it's going to be like in the it's going to be warmed up kind of in the high 30s. Georgia Tech is playing Marshall, who, according to a member of the staff I talked to this morning, they think that Marshall is actually maybe better than ODU overall. I don't know if I agree, but that's what they thought from their that's what they thought from their scouting and everything like that. I'll tell you right here. Cougs, who's Miami has. It was -5 at 5 a.m. this morning on my way to work. That's Middle Tennessee. Oh my gosh. That is disgusting, cardboard. That's like, it's crazy how like that's really not that far from here, and it's that much colder. Yes, Canes, 18 degrees in like Atlanta right now. Or I mean, not anymore. It's warmed up, but this morning at like 9:30, it was 18 degrees. Okay, so Georgia is beating UIC 5-1 right now in the bottom of the second. I don't really want to watch. I mean, it's going to be kind of. I don't think it's going to be that interesting of a game, just to be honest. Okay, Miami is playing. We went over this yesterday. Coug. Miami's playing Princeton. We play Cal this weekend. Okay, yeah, that'll be a good game. I'm interested to see kind of how Cal looks. Yes, Canes, you heard it right. It's 18 degrees. That's what we're dealing with up here. There's a baseball tournament in Georgia today. We have two teams from Dade County playing, Lowndes and another team in Georgia. Where are they playing at? Are they playing up at like Lake Point, or are they playing down in South Georgia? That's a long drive from like the Miami area. if they're playing up in like Lake Point, which there are a lot of high school tournaments up there. But Lowndes is like down way south Georgia, like near Florida. Lowndes is like a 3.5, 4 hour drive from here, from where I live. Maybe even a little bit further than that. Because from where, like for me, I think Orlando is probably like 8 hours. So it's about the halfway. It's probably about 4 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up this. Let me see what it's. Let me see here. No, I remember, what's funny is like when my dad would go down to spring training every year, my mom was a teacher before, we were born. And so my mom would homeschool us. We would go down to spring training for like a month, and my mom would homeschool us, like the curriculum at the school we were at the time. And I remember like after one of the early days in spring training, my dad went golfing with like Freddie Gonzalez and some of the coaches, and he brought us along, and I remember like getting to play and like putting on the green and stuff with Freddie. So I've known him since I was like a toddler, basically. Oh my God, Canes, dude, Canes, you're about to get chat banned if you say something like that again, guys. Can we get? Should we chat ban Canes for saying the time of first pitch will be 67 degrees? I need to bring pants and a few layers. That's like a chat ban for saying something so ridiculous. That's actually disgusting that you would even say something like that. Jess Fleck, good to hear about Florida. Sun goes down mid-March for a couple of games. Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's nice to go down to Florida. But by the time, what's funny is like Georgia weather is so frustrating. Like a couple weeks ago, it was like in the 60s and 70s. So it's like Georgia weather at this time is the worst. KAP, Kyle, I can't message you on. Did you KAP? Do you follow me on X? I'll send you a message. I live in Wisconsin. Do you think that it is advantage to live in a warmer climate or cooler climate? Depends on what. Are you talking about for baseball, Graham? Bro, 67 degrees is freezing to me. Canes, like I said, dude, you're gonna get chat banned. You're just gonna get chat banned if you keep it up. And there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. Let me see here, Cap. Did you just follow me? I don't like that. I also actually don't like that you can't like DM me unless you're like paying for like premium. It's for high school. They're going to where the Jackson facility, I believe that's what it's called. It is currently 25 here. Yikes. I'll tell you guys what it is right now for me. Oh, it's 44 now. Holy cow. It was 18 this morning and now it's 44, but it's only going to get up to 45. But I'll take 44. Do you mind telling me your name on X, Cap? And then I can just look you up and send you a message. Zach, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, because in Florida they play games, but up north I practice more. Yeah, but games are kind of like practice. You know what I mean, Graham? I mean, you are at a disadvantage up north, as far as it's just like harder to get outdoor work in for a larger percentage of the year. So there's a certain percentage of the year up in the north that you just really can't do anything outdoors. Whereas down in like Florida, the whole year you can do stuff outdoors. But again, as long as you're getting work in, that's fine. There's a little disadvantage as far as in exposure as well, just again because like the high school season has to start later, So you're going to be playing in the high school tournament season later than all the kids down south and stuff like that. 38 in North Carolina. That's not bad. So it's like -1 in Middle Tennessee this morning, but it's only 38. But it's 38 North Carolina. I would love to live in a place where it's 75 to 80 every day. But here's the thing, Cardboard. What you have to understand is that in the summer in Florida, it's like 100 degrees, and it's like you're swallowed by humidity. Arizona is like the best. Even though it gets way hotter over there, it's dry heat, so you just don't feel it. Like, it doesn't feel as hot in Arizona. I love, like, Scottsdale, Arizona is so nice. It's the best. All right, Cap, I'm looking for you right now. Let me see. All right, I found you. Cap, let me know if you got this message. You should be able to message me. Bryant plays the earliest game they've ever had at home this year, the 25th. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, most of those schools up there, like, they're not even at home for the first, like, 4 weekends. That's why Georgia Tech's playing at 2 today, because it's just like, even if you play at 4, by the time the game's over, it's going to be down in the 30s. What do you think will happen with this Oklahoma spread? Let me take a look. I don't know what the spread, -3.5. I like Oklahoma's ace, so I mean, it's just. Graham in Arizona here, and here in July and August is awful. Would take Florida instead. But I promise you, dude, like, in Florida, I know it's gonna be 95, but the humidity is like 100%. Like, you're outside for 10 minutes and you're sweating. So they're both, like, they're basically the same. They're just different. But you're right, Graham. Like 115, 112. Like, playing in AAA in, like, Vegas, or like Reno, which is kind of the same thing. Like, we wouldn't even hit BP in July outdoors because it's too hot. So I mean, you are right. I mean, it's brutal over there, and I guess maybe I guess it's a little bit more oppressively hot in Arizona, but in Florida, Las Cruces, New Mexico is like that as well. Yeah, I drove through Las Cruces to get to spring training a few times, all the way from Atlanta. And in Florida, it's just like you're suffocating on the humidity. I guess that's one way of saying it. All right, I'm looking at Oklahoma right now. The thing about Oklahoma is they have a young offense. So for today's age, they have 4 sophomores, and a freshman. So, like, I mean, they don't even have a senior in their lineup. So it's just like, offensively, what you worry about is Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to pitch well enough, but I don't know if they score enough to maybe cover that. Been to Florida with my son the last 2 summers. Yeah, they're different, but, like, at the same time, like, both of them in the heat of this, in the heart of the summer, you're just like, I don't want to go outside. June for regionals. Yeah, I remember playing in Gainesville, and that's not even that's like Central Florida, and playing in Gainesville in the summer. And again, it's just like you step outside. I played down at Miami in, like, May, and again, you're out. You get out there in BP, and 5 minutes in, you're drenched. You're just drenched. Our minor league stadium here in Vegas is amazing. Well, yeah, I played in the old stadium, Cap. The old stadium was terrible, but you were in Vegas, so you didn't care. The new stadium does look sick. The new stadium looks awesome. And in the four corners, the ball flies off the bat. Oh yeah, 100%. Hitting in, this is how I compared the in Reno, which was the Diamondbacks AAA. I'm pretty sure this is the Diamondbacks. Yeah, Diamondbacks AAA. This is how I compared it, because you go to Reno and like all their big power hitters had 30 plus jacks, and it's like hitting on the moon. That's what I compared it. Hitting in Reno was like hitting on the moon. Is there any way to Red Sox versus Northeastern to watch? I don't know. I'm sure there maybe. I don't know. All right, let me pull up this Georgia Tech game. I'll tell you this: when UConn played in Tallahassee last year for the Supers, UConn was 100% affected by the humidity. I mean, how could you not be? I mean, it's just like, oh, here we go, perfect. What the hell? I hate having to sign into this stuff, man. I really enjoyed your video on hitting approach. Have you watched Matt Holliday's YouTube video on his approach while in the MLB? No, I haven't. I have not. I have not. I'm sure it's really good though, because he was just a hitter, you know. Like the guy just knew how to hit. And I think what happens, what the issue for looking for you. Okay. What happens, I think what's happened somewhat in today's game is that, sorry, I'm putting in my password here and it's like 20 words long. What's happened in today's game is people confuse having a good swing with being a good hitter. And those are not the same things. I did not have a good swing for most of my professional career, and that hurt me as far as batted ball result. Meaning, I could have definitely hit for more power, but my swing being on the steeper side made it to where my best ball when I hit it was like a line drive, which is fine. That's why I hit for a high average. But if it had just been increased a little bit, it still would have been fine. All right, we're live, I think. All right, here we go. So I don't think it started yet, but it's probably starting soon. But Cap, I'd love to. I'll try to check it out this weekend. But feel free. I know you said you wanted to get in contact, so feel free to just DM me on X. I'll also send you. You could contact me at this, and just whatever you're looking for. You know, the temporary fence FSU had put up two made it a launching pad to right field at Hauser. Yeah. Graham. Hitting question. What is the best way to practice hitting high vert fastballs? Machines suck for timing. Yeah, I mean, uh, what I would say is like if you can throw darts, so like you sit on a bucket, um, the thing that sucks about machines is that it's inconsistent with the fact that, like, again, you're not watching a human and timing against a human. You're trying to, and that's why machines can suck sometimes because you're just like, it's tough to, you're going to get, your timing's going to be off sometimes. I liked to have a guy throw darts like chest high. And again, I'm practicing again in a chest high pitch. I want my spine angle's got to be pretty vertical. And I'm just my path is flat. My path has to be flat on a high fastball, if that's what you're asking. And again, just have a guy throw BP and just if they're fairly accurate, just have them throw it at that, that upper level of the zone. And try, and again, what I always like is try to hit line drives like top of the net, back of the cage. Top of the net, back of the cage. If you guys are watching the Georgia Tech game, the analyst today is my best friend from Georgia Tech, and he's the one that's in our chat sometimes, Dusty Isaacs. He's the analyst for the Georgia Tech game. So far, I think Georgia Tech has faced in this fifth game, they faced 4 left-handed pitchers. High spin 4-seamers, yeah. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying on a darts, because you're getting that like flat kind of ride. You're getting that like ride angle because you're throwing it like you're sitting down, so you're throwing it from that lower slot ride 4-seam. So I like having a guy. Again, instead of like front toss off a bucket, I'm doing darts, which is over the top. I don't like underhand really at all, but that's what I would do. Oklahoma versus Minnesota, nice 1-1. Oklahoma lead off. Who? Dusty Isaacs. Kane's the guy who's in here chatting all the time. Leadoff guy on base. Yep. He just tried to stay inside the baseball and keep batting the zone as long as possible. Yeah. So he was kind of opposite of me. We both hunted fastballs, but I always hunted middle in, and he hunt that middle away, trying to stay inside it. And that's what I always tell hitters. I'm like, pick a fastball or like hunt fastball, either hunt middle in or middle away, whatever is kind of what you like to hit, and then adjust from there. Oh my. Oh my. Man, his swing is so good. Hey, Graham, if you want to see how to hit a high vert fastball, Drew Burris just hit one at his shoulders. He's good, man. His swing is just so good. I mean, this is at his letters. I mean, just I mean, he's just so good. He's just so good. I can't believe they threw him a 1-0 fastball there too. I mean, I think you just change up him to death, breaking ball him to death. If you walk him, you walk him. But if you don't have premium velocity, you definitely can't just attack him 1-0 with a fastball. It's just not gonna end up what it's not gonna. You're not gonna get the result you want. And that's really been through the first 5 games or 4 games. That Scary's only a sophomore and he's not draft eligible, so he will be back next year, unless he leaves in the portal. But I don't see that happening here. But here is the thing: Danny Hall is in the last year of his contract at Georgia Tech. So depending on what happens there, let's say he retires and James Ramsey is not picked to be the head coach. I do think you could see James Ramsey or Drew Burress following James Ramsey wherever he goes. I do think you could see that. So that's like a situation. But scary that he's only a sophomore 100%. Now, just so you guys know, this yeah, I do believe James is probably, and again, that's barring Danny Hall retires, right? Because he's a legend, and who knows what's going to happen there. Wow, he doesn't have an extension. Yeah, I mean, I think it's because like Georgia Tech for the last 3 or 4 years has kind of been because the pitching has not really finished where I think Georgia Tech is traditionally. Remember, guys, when I committed to Georgia Tech, um, when I committed to Georgia Tech, they were the number one team in the country, and they were perennial top 10 team. The last like 10 years, they've kind of been in and out of that. Dookie McPeterson, do you think mewing with low taper fade in Ohio will looks max me to a Sigma? I don't speak Gen Z, so I don't know, just to be honest. But so just so you guys know that like Dusty Isaacs, who's in here in the chat sometimes, and he's the analyst for today's game, was like stop closer of the year in the ACC, pitched all the way up to AAA, like really good pitcher. Man, Marshall is no. What are you? Oh my, great read by Kent Schmidt there. Do you think James Ramsey is pretty much the coach in waiting? How shocked would you be if he didn't get the job? He is the associate head coach, which that's typically what it means, right? Especially like you saw at Coastal Carolina when their head coach stepped down, Kevin Schnall, who was the associate head coach, like he was given the head coach job. So I would be surprised, especially again, because the offense at Georgia Tech has been a top 5, top 10 offense every year under James Ramsey, and his recruiting classes have been very good as well. So I'd be surprised. Opium Vamp. Let's talk about Brady Dene making the adjustment from last year to this year. 4 games, 4 years, 4 games, 4 home runs. Yeah, again, I think it's still early. There's plenty of guys that get off to like super hot starts, and then second half of the year you get an SEC play, the dogs come out. Like the guys who are real dudes, you either get dominated in the SEC or you can compete. So you got to wait for a whole season, but I think he's definitely a guy who was very rotational. Uh, yeah, I think Dookie McPeterson is now going to get the block. Sorry, man. But Dene, I think whenever you're if you're a very rotational guy, sometimes spreading out can help you because it can keep your direction towards center field and keep you on the ball longer. I think Brody has a case of what Kyle likes to talk about. What do you mean by that, Canes? Cardboard asks, what do you think has been Drew Burr's secret? It's not really a secret. It's just he's a lead up here. He knows what he's looking for. He knows how to make adjustments. He knows how to do. He just knows how to change his approach based on the pitcher. Go watch my plate video on YouTube. It's my highest viewed YouTube video I've ever made, and it just goes through what my approach was as a hitter. And Drew Burress does that to a T. He knows how to make adjustments very quickly, in at bat adjustments, in game adjustments, and he's got an elite swing. He's got a very adjustable path. He can hit that fastball top of zone. He can hit the breaking ball at the bottom of zone. He doesn't have a lot of holes in his swing. That's you add all those things up, and he's got good tools as well. And Georgia Tech is just the offense is just coming out hot. They said he made a swing change in the offseason. Hint, hint. Zach says thank you. Laugh aloud. Jess says thank you. Yeah, no problem, guys. No problem. It was the first comment was kind of funny. The second one, I'm just like, okay. The video, let me look right here. Let me look. I'll find it for you. I'll tell you the name of the video. Parker Broche is hitting. This is a guy they need to get going. He's got very good eye at the plate, very good on base skills, but he's struggling early, making a lot of swing and misses. All right, let me see. Let me get this, coach. Let me get this video for you. It is called "Former Pro Shares How to Instantly Become a Better Hitter: Baseball Hitting Tips." I can actually probably link this in the chat too. That's the link. That's the link to the video. And I got about like 20 minutes before I got to head out, guys, which sucks. I want to be here as long as I can, but I do have that high school team I'm helping out with does have a game today. I understand the different climates benefiting certain baseball programs, Southeast, SoCal, Arizona, et cetera, but what accounts for the Oregon teams being so strong? It's a good point. That's a great point, BA. Great point. And again, like a program like Oregon State, they have better indoor facilities, and they can get, again, if you have an indoor turf field or an indoor turf infield that you can get ground balls on for your infield, you're going to be ahead of the game. The programs that struggle are the ones where they can hit indoors, but they're not hitting outdoors. And again, there's something about getting at bats at your home field outside. You're getting used to tracking the ball in your environment. When you're doing it in a cage, it's great, but it's not tracking the ball on your field in the environment you're going to be hitting in the game. And if you're not able to get like infield work in a lot of days, that's tough. That makes it really tough. Oh, freshman Caleb Daniel. He has better timing with the wide stance. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's less a timing issue, just to be honest, and I think it's allowing him to have better direction in his swing. He's not rotating out of his posture. He's not rotating off the pitch. When it rains 10 months out of the year, you need an indoor facility, yeah. And if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you need it. How's your high school team looking? I hope those kids realize the opportunity they have with you helping. I will say this: coaching high school players, I've for my basically late on in my pro career, I was almost like a player coach, and then I coached in college. This is my first time like officially coaching a high school team, and obviously with the clients I work with, they're all like higher level players typically. But coaching a high school team, you cannot coach the same way you coach like a high level college program or a professional player. They're not as good at making adjustments. They're very hesitant to make changes because as soon as they feel uncomfortable, they're like, I don't like this. And what I tell them is like, listen, I'm not thinking you're a sophomore. I'm not thinking about how you perform tomorrow. I'm thinking about how you're going to perform in like 3 weeks and how you're going to perform in the future of your career. I want you to be the best hitter you can be. So it is like we've started out 0-2, just to be honest. Our pitching has been great. Our offense has started out really slow. It's been very cold, so there's some built-in excuses that we'll use. But just to be honest, we have not played the way myself or the rest of the coaches have wanted us to play. We've addressed a lot of the issues. So hopefully today we get it going the right way. Is it finally on NFHS, or I think it is on Game Changer. I think it is. Well, I mean, if you're Georgia, if you're Tate McKee for Georgia Tech, you like that first inning, 3-run lead. And again, for Georgia Tech, the bats had started out pretty slow, but like I told you guys, the name is Wesleyan High School. If you're like I've told you guys, you don't really know too much about your offense until about 3 to 4 weeks in, because hitting is just something. There's going to be guys that get off to slow starts, and like particularly for Georgia Tech, Burris and Lodis, who are probably the two best hitters in the lineup, or expected to be the best hitters, had gotten off to pretty kind of slow starts. Lodis was hitting under 200. Burris before that home run was hitting like right at above 200. So those guys get going, all of a sudden it looks way different. What level is your high school? I think we're either 2A or 3A. I should know that, but I think we're 2A. I could be wrong though. Because in Georgia, like when I came up, there was no difference between like private and public. And now there's like different leagues for public, different leagues for private. And it just kind of makes it something where like I haven't really looked too deep into it and how the different regions are affected because of that. Can you drop your game chat? Dude, I don't even look at the Game Changer, so let me see. I get the emails about it. Let me see. Let me turn my volume back up on the Georgia Tech game. I don't have the link for it, unfortunately. Small ball opium says. Like, listen to what Dusty's saying, guys, here about what Tate McKee's strategy should be. You're facing a not as good team. You're out to a 3-0 start. Like, your goal as a starting pitcher here, especially in a 4-game series. I want to go as deep as possible. So I'm forgetting about strikeouts. I'm forgetting about all that. I'm coming right after him. I want him to make contact early, let my defense get me outs, and let me go deep in this game so I can save the bullpen for the next 3 games, right? So, and that's why Dusty is such a good pitcher. Is like he understands that, right? We talk a lot about, because I was a hitter, approaches hitters have, but based on the start of this game for Georgia Tech, if you're the starting pitcher, you got a 3-run lead. You're facing you're not facing an ACC team. You're the Friday guy. I want to get quick outs. I want to go deep in this game. I'm coming right at the guys. I'm not messing around too much early with a bunch of different off-speed pitches. I'm going to establish the fastball. Let me get through 3 innings in like 30 pitches and go as deep as I can. How cold do you think it has to be to cancel games? I don't know. I mean, we've already seen some games get played in like way below freezing temperatures this year. I mean, I do think once you get below freezing, it's kind of brutal in baseball just from a hitter's perspective. But to be honest, Manny, I'm not exactly sure. Opium, Cincinnati, perfect example. Winning the series at Duke, Game 3 was a small ball masterclass. Yeah, and I don't know why teams don't do it more in college baseball, because just the defenses are not as good. So you're going to get way more value bunting in college than you would in pro ball, right? In pro ball, in the major leagues, like bunts are going to be outs. You have the best defenders in the world. In college baseball, you don't. And the Georgia Tech offense just keeps on going. 20 years. Yep. That is the elephant in the room with Georgia Tech baseball, guys, is that for 20 years you haven't been able to get out of a regional, even though you've had, like the head coach at Wesleyan, who I played with my freshman year at Georgia Tech, was our Friday guy, just a stud. And we were talking the other day. He goes, we hosted a regional all 3 years I was at Georgia Tech, and we didn't get out of one. Right. So that's the elephant on Georgia Tech's that's the elephant in the room for Georgia Tech baseball is like get out of a regional. We were supposed to have 3 games this week. Flooding, snow, and below freezing temps have canceled our games, as well as Austin Peay's 2 games so far. Yeah, I mean, at some point it's just way too cold to play. And if it's up there in Middle Tennessee and it's 10 degrees, like it probably shouldn't play. Man, we won our tournament last weekend. Shout out to Texas 12 under, 13 under Houston. I used a lot of small ball. Have to put pressure on the defense. Yeah, and that's great, Manny, because a lot of these kids get to college and like you ask them to bunt. Like think about it. So a lot of kids are like, well, I'm never going to bunt. And it's like, well, if you're up in the 9th inning in a tie game, run around third, 1 out, and you're asked to do a squeeze to win the game, can you do it? Right? These kids have to learn how to bunt. Great pitch there by Blevins. Austin Peay is going to open again for Wayne Purdue on Saturday. Yeah, Fort Wayne Purdue on Saturday. This is the last half inning for me, guys, and then I got to go. Unfortunately, see if Drew Burress can hit another bomb here. But you see how good he is, Drew Burress, right there. First pitch changeup, really great location. Starts out the bottom of the zone. He just doesn't even bite at it. Just sees the ball really well. Great eye at the plate. Like he's just good, man. Aggressive send there by Ramsey. Wow, he got in. Ramsey was sending him there and started was holding his breath the whole time. The ball definitely beat him, but I don't know if the throw was a little wide. And I just don't think great slide by Curse. Coach K, yeah, bunting in high school especially is essential. Dude, I was an 80 grade bunter. I tell guys all the time, you ask any scout that watched me, that was like my best. I led the organization in base hit bunts every year I played in professional baseball. And I'm like, guys, if you get 10 base hit bunts in a high school season, let's say you get 100 at bats, that's 100 points on your batting average. So you just went from like a 300 hitter to a 400 hitter because of 10 extra base hit bunts. And the reason guys don't want to do it is they base hit bunt. Every once in a while, you're going to base hit bunt and get out on a pitch right down the middle. And psychologically, you tell yourself, oh, I would have crushed that pitch. And it's like, yeah, maybe. But like in my career, I probably batted close to 900 on base hit bunts. So like I always knew like I'm going to get out sometimes, but like this is a very high percentage play for me. But I think if you're Georgia Tech now, Drew Burress had started off a little slow, but you're not worried about him anymore. Last two games, 2 home runs, hitting the ball in the barrel. My 10-year-old grandson is bunting. Love it. Yeah, he missed the tag, Canes. You're right. I bunted first and third with my 3-hitter a couple times. Defense didn't know what to do. Yeah. These kids don't – I mean, and that's the other thing too. I tell these guys, like these defenders in high school, you guys, they're playing you on the grass, like outfield grass, and they're not used to fielding base hit bunts. No one does it anymore. Like it's just a free hit. That is also the difference in being a first rounder or going to college. Yeah. Ken Schmidt really hitting the ball well too. Great pickup from Georgia Southern. Wow, I'm really surprised Burress didn't. I might have frozen on the line drive a little bit there. I was doing some research on kids last 3 years down here that went in the first round, 4 total hitters. The lowest batting average for the player his senior year was 450. Yeah, I mean, dude, if you're a hitter that goes in the first round out of high school, like you better rake in high school. Like they and I'll give you an example of a kid that was a bust, Chavez Clark, who was in my draft class out of high school, switch hitter, guy could not hit at all, struck out all the time, and he hit less than 300 on his high school team. And he got picked in like 25th overall pick or something like that. He never made it to A ball, but he signed for over $1 million. Do you recommend any West Coast select tournaments for high school ages? I mean, I'm not as like I don't want to recommend any tournaments. That's not my like my region that I'm very strong in is like Southeast, East Coast. Obviously, some of the best tournaments are all like perfect game, like East Cobb, Lake Point. Um, but there's a lot of West Coast tournaments. I'd have to look into them, Coach, just to be honest. I don't want to recommend any that I don't know. Again, that a lot of coaches really what you want is the tournaments that the coaches are going to. That's the key. Wally, D1 baseball site has crashed. Bad timing. Subscribers will be upset who are trying to stream the peak tourney events. Dude, the website is like crashing every day. I know they just redid it, so it makes sense. There's errors. There's going to be things messed up, but it has been doing that since they updated the website. And Marshall in a really bad spot here. Bases loaded, 1 out. Yeah, and what Dusty's saying is exactly right. When you're facing a guy with not a lot of velo, but can throw off speed for strikes, you have to get the ball up because you're going to be able to catch up to the fastball at the top of the zone. But if you're chasing stuff down, it's going to end up being off speed a lot that ends up out of the zone. And that's a grand slam for Georgia Tech, 8-0. And I think that's where I head out, Canes. Yeah, this is about as good a start to the game as you can get for Georgia Tech. Guys, I will appreciate you guys joining the stream and chatting. Very active. Love you guys. Wish me good luck. I will be. Yeah, I don't think Marshall's as good as ODU. Just to be honest, just a hanging breaking ball that Hernandez does not miss at all.